The small gray dragon sat alone in its container, unwanted by everyone who saw it. Its scales were dull, not bright and colorful like others of its kind. It was also much too small, about the size of a house cat, when it should have been as big as a large dog. Ty looked at the creature with wide eyes. He was 12 years old, with messy black hair and a curious mind that often got him into trouble. Today, he stood beside his father in the busy space station where ships from all over the galaxy came to trade. "We don't want it either," said his father. Commander Doe. He was a tall man with a serious face who ran Earth Station Harmony, the human outpost in this part of space. Ambassador Nari sighed. She wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps and looked tired after days of difficult talks with the Draconid Federation. "I understand, Commander, but we have no choice," she said. "The Draconids insist we take this dragon as part of the peace treaty. They call it a gift." "Some gift," muttered Commander Doe. "What are we supposed to do with a defective dragon?" Ty winced at his father's words. He didn't think the small dragon looked defective, just different. As the adults argued, he moved closer to the container and peered inside. The dragon's eyes were closed, and it breathed slowly, as if it were very tired or sick. "Is it going to die?" Ty asked. Ambassador Nari shook her head. "No, it's healthy, just not what the Draconids consider valuable. They say it's the last of an old bloodline, but it never grew properly. And they're giving it to us because?" Commander Doe asked. "Because no one else wants it," Ambassador Nari said simply. "And they need to say they gave us something important to save face." Ty felt sorry for the dragon. He knew what it was like to be different. On the space station, he was often the only Korean boy in his class. Some kids made fun of him for being from Earth when most of them had been born in space. "I'll take care of it," Ty said suddenly. His father looked down at him with surprise. "Ty, this isn't a pet. It's a sentient alien species." "I know," Ty said. "But someone has to look after it, right?" "I can do it until we figure out what to do." Commander Doe looked like he wanted to argue, but after a moment, he nodded. "Fine, but it stays in the containment unit in our quarters, and Dr. Han needs to check it regularly." Ambassador Nari seemed relieved. "Thank you, Commander. The Draconids will be pleased to hear we've accepted their gift." As they prepared to leave, Ambassador Nari reached into her pocket. "I almost forgot. This came with the dragon." She handed Ty a simple metal necklace with a strange pendant. They said it belonged to its mother. Ty took the necklace carefully. The pendant was warm to the touch and covered with symbols he had never seen before. They seemed to shift slightly when he moved the pendant in the light. "What do these marks mean?" he asked. Ambassador Nari shrugged. "No one knows. Our translation computers couldn't read it. It's probably just decoration." Ty wasn't so sure. The symbols seemed to call to him somehow. He slipped the necklace into his pocket as his father picked up the dragon's container. "Remember, this is your responsibility now," Commander Doe said as they walked toward the transport that would take them back to their living quarters. "I know, Dad," Ty said. "I'll take good care of it." "What will you name it?" asked Ambassador Nari. Ty thought for a moment. "Ben," he decided. "It means empty in Korean, because right now it seems empty inside, like it's waiting for something." The adults exchanged looks, but didn't comment on his choice. Back in their quarters, Ty set up a space for the dragon container next to his bed. He opened the top so the dragon could get fresh air, but Ben didn't move. It just lay there, eyes closed, breathing slowly. "Hello, Ben," Ty said softly. "I'm Ty. I guess we're going to be friends now." The dragon gave no sign that it hurt him. Over the next few days, Ty tried everything to get Ben to respond. He offered different foods that Dr. Han, the station's animal expert, suggested. He played soft music. He even read stories aloud, hoping the sound of his voice might help. But Ben remained the same, alive but unmoving. Eyes closed to the world. Maybe it's in some kind of sleep state, Dr. Han suggested when she came to check on the dragon. "Some species do that when stressed. Will it wake up?" Ty asked. "I don't know," she admitted. "I've never studied Draconid physiology before. They don't usually share much information about themselves at night." Ty would take out the necklace and study the strange symbols. Sometimes he thought they glowed faintly in the dark, but when he looked directly at them, They were just metal again. One night, about 2 weeks after Ben had arrived, Tai had a strange dream. He was floating in space, surrounded by stars. In the distance, he saw a massive shape with wings that spanned the gap between worlds. A voice spoke to him in a language he didn't understand, yet somehow he knew it was important. He woke with a start, his heart racing. The room was dark except for a faint blue glow. It took him a moment to realize the light was coming from the necklace, which he had left on his bedside table. Tai sat up and reached for it. The metal was warm, almost hot to the touch, and the symbols were definitely glowing now. As he held it, he felt a strange pull toward Ben's container, moving carefully in the dark. Tai approached the dragon. To his surprise, Ben's eyes were open for the first time and they were glowing with the same blue light as the necklace. "Ben?" Tai whispered. "Are you awake?" The dragon lifted its head slowly, looking directly at Tai. Then its gaze fixed on the necklace in his hand. Without thinking, Tai slipped the necklace over his head. The moment the pendant touched his chest, a jolt ran through his body, like a gentle electric shock. And then, clear as day, he heard a voice in his mind. "You were my mother's key." Tai nearly dropped the necklace in shock. "Did you just talk to me?" The dragon's head tilted slightly. "Not talk. Think. The pendant connects us. The necklace lets us talk in our minds." Tai asked, amazed. "Yes, it is more than metal. It is memory." Tai sat down beside the container, his hands shaking with excitement. "What's your real name? Is Ben okay?" The dragon seemed to consider this. "I have no name yet. Ben is acceptable until I earn my true name. What happened to you? Why did the draconids give you away?" Ben's eyes dimmed slightly. "They fear what they do not understand. I am not like other dragons. I am old blood, from before." "Before what?" "Before the forgetting." Ben looked at the necklace again. "That pendant, do you know what it says?" Tai shook his head. "No one could translate it, because it is not meant to be read with eyes," Ben explained. "It is meant to be felt with the heart." As if responding to these words, the symbols on the necklace glowed brighter. Tai felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest. "It says, the last star remembers what the first star promised." "What does that mean?" Tai asked. Ben rose to his feet for the first time, stretching wings that suddenly seemed larger than before. "It means that everything is about to change." "Dad, Ben talked to me." Tai burst into the kitchen area the next morning, still wearing the necklace. Commander Do looked up from his coffee with tired eyes. "What?" "The dragon Ben, he spoke to me last night. In my mind." Tai pointed to the necklace. "It's because of this. It connects us somehow." His father sighed. "Tai, dragons don't talk, and necklaces don't connect minds. But it's true. Ask him yourself." Commander Do put down his cup and followed Tai to his room. The dragon was sitting up in its container now, alert, and watching them with bright blue eyes. Its scales, which had been dull gray before, now showed hints of blue. "It looks different," Commander Do admitted. "Watch," Tai said. He focused on Ben. "Can you show my dad you can talk?" The dragon stared at Commander Do for a long moment, then turned back to Tai. "He cannot hear me. Only you can, because of the key. He says only I can hear him because of the necklace." Tai explained. His father frowned. "Tai, I know you want the dragon to be special, but I'm not making it up." Tai insisted. "Look, his scales are changing color, and he's more awake now. Something happened last night." Commander Do studied the dragon more carefully. "I'll call Dr. Han. If there's been a change in its condition, she should know. An hour later." Dr. Han was scanning Ben with her medical devices. Her eyes widened as she looked at the results. "This is remarkable," she said. "Its brain activity has tripled since yesterday, and its metabolism is much higher." She looked at Tai. "What did you do?" Tai touched the necklace. "I put this on. Ben says it's a key that connects us." Dr. Han looked skeptical, but ran another scan, this time including the necklace. "The pendant is giving off a low-level energy signature I can't identify. And when you touch it," she paused, watching her screen, "your brain waves and the dragon's partially synchronize." "That's not possible, see?" Tai said to his father. "I told you." Commander Do still looked worried. "Is it dangerous?" "I don't detect any harmful effects," Dr. Han said. "But I've never seen anything like this before. Over the next few days, Ben continued to change. He grew larger, now the size of a medium dog. His scales became brighter blue, with patterns that looked like stars appearing on his wings. He began to eat more, and sometimes he would stretch his wings as if preparing to fly. Through their mental connection, Ben shared bits of knowledge with Tai, strange images of planets Tai had never seen, of dragons soaring between stars without ships, of ancient times when dragons and humans had worked together. Were dragons and humans friends before? Tai asked one evening as he sat doing his homework. Ben curled beside his desk. More than friends. Partners, explorers of the great dark between stars. But the Draconids don't like humans now. They barely agreed to the peace treaty. Ben's mental voice carried sadness. The Draconids are not true dragons. They are changed. They forgot the old ways after the Great Burning. What's the Great Burning? Before Ben could answer, Tai's father called from the other room. Tai, Ambassador Nari is here to see you and the dragon. Tai and Ben went to the living room, where Ambassador Nari was waiting. Her eyes widened when she saw Ben. It's grown, she said, and those markings weren't there before. His name is Ben, Tai corrected. And yes, he's getting better every day. Ambassador Nari knelt to look at the dragon more closely. The Draconid ambassador has been asking about Ben. They seem very interested in his progress. Why? Commander Do asked. They didn't want him before. I'm not sure, Ambassador Nari admitted. But they specifically asked about the necklace too. Tai's hand went to the pendant protectively. What did you tell them? Just that you were keeping it safe, she said. Was that wrong? They must not know, Ben's voice said urgently in Tai's mind. The necklace is more important than they realize. It's fine, Tai said aloud, though he felt uneasy. Ben likes having the necklace nearby. That night, Tai couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about what Ben had said about the Draconids not being true dragons, and about the Great Burning. He turned the necklace in his hands, watching how the symbols seemed to move in the dim light. What are you really? He whispered to the pendant. Ask it to show you. Ben suggested from his spot at the foot of Tai's bed. How? Hold it and think of stars. Tai closed his eyes, clutching the pendant in his fist. He thought of the stars he could see from the observation deck of the station, of the vast space between worlds, of the images Ben had shared with him. The pendant grew warm in his hand. When Tai opened his eyes, he gasped. The room was filled with tiny points of light, like a miniature galaxy floating around him. The lights moved, forming patterns that matched the symbols on the necklace. What is this? Tai whispered in awe. A map, Ben said, his eyes reflecting the lights. A map to something the Draconids have been searching for a very long time. A map to what? The stellar archive. The memory of all dragons since the first stars burned. The lights shifted, showing what looked like a path through space, winding between stars and nebulae that Tai recognized from his astronomy lessons. Is that why they gave you away? Because they couldn't use this map? Ben rose and stretched his wings, which now nearly spanned Tai's entire room. They gave me away because they thought I was broken. They didn't know I was waiting. Waiting for what? For you. For someone who could read with their heart, not just their eyes. The next morning, Tai woke to an alarm blaring throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed in his room. Attention all personnel. His father's voice came over the speakers. Unidentified vessels approaching. Defense protocols engaged. This is not a drill. Tai jumped out of bed. Ben was already alert, his scales glowing brighter than before. They've come, Ben said. His mental voice tense. Who? The Draconids. They know the key has awakened. Tai's communicator buzzed. It was his father. Tai, stay in our quarters. Lock the door. Don't let anyone in except me or Dr. Han. Dad, what's happening? Draconid ships just appeared. They're demanding we return the dragon and the necklace. They say they were stolen. Tai looked at Ben in shock. That's a lie. They gave you to us. They realized their mistake, Ben said. They've learned what the necklace truly is. The station shuddered as something hit it. Tai stumbled and caught himself against the wall. They're firing on us, he said in disbelief. Ben moved to the center of the room, his body glowing brighter. We must protect the key. If they take it, they will use the archive for war. What can we do? We're just a boy and a small dragon. Ben's eyes met Ty's, not small for long. The key doesn't just connect us, it awakens what was sleeping. As Ty watched in amazement, Ben began to grow. His body stretched, wings expanded, and his blue scales shimmered with starlight. In moments, he was the size of a horse, barely fitting in Ty's room. Put on the necklace. Ben commanded, "We must reach the station's center. From there, I can open the path. The path to what? To the truth that will end this war before it begins." Ty slipped the necklace over his head. It glowed against his chest, warm and pulsing like a second heart. Another blast rocked the station. The lights flickered. "We must hurry," Ben said, lowering his now massive shoulder. "Climb on, Ty. It's time to show everyone what a true dragon can do." Ty climbed onto Ben's back, his hands gripping the ridge of scales along the dragon's neck. The door to his room was too small for Ben now, but that didn't seem to matter. The dragon looked at the door, and it slid open on its own. "How did you do that?" Ty asked in amazement. "Old dragon magic," Ben replied. "The key strengthens my abilities." They moved into the hallway, which was flashing with red emergency lights. The station shook again as another blast hit it. Ben was so large now that his wings brushed both walls, and Ty had to duck to avoid hitting his head on the ceiling. "Where are we going?" Ty asked. "The central hub. From there, I can reach out to all parts of the station." They hadn't gone far when they ran into Dr. Han. Her eyes went wide at the sight of Ben. "Ty, what happened to the dragon?" she gasped. "He's growing to his true size," Ty explained. "The Draconids are attacking because they want him back, and they want this." He touched the glowing necklace. Dr. Han looked at the pendant. "That thing is causing all this trouble. It is not the necklace they truly want." Ben's voice spoke in both their minds now. "It is what it leads to." Dr. Han jumped back. "It spoke to me. In my head. He's getting stronger." Ty said, "Dr. Han, we need to get to the central hub. Can you help us?" She hesitated only a moment before nodding. "This way. The emergency passages will be faster." They followed Dr. Han through a side door that led to a narrow maintenance tunnel. Ben had to lower himself almost to the ground to fit, his wings folded tightly against his body. "The station's defenses won't hold for long," Dr. Han said as they hurried along. "The Draconids have 5 warships out there. Why would they attack over one dragon?" Ty wondered. "Because I am the last of the star-winged dragons," Ben explained. "My kind were keepers of the greatest knowledge in the galaxy, the Stellar Archive." "What's in this archive that's so important?" Dr. Han asked. "Truth, history, the memory of all stars since the beginning of time, including how the Draconids rose to power by enslaving other dragon kinds." They reached the end of the maintenance tunnel. Dr. Han pressed her hand to a panel, and a door slid open, revealing the central hub of the station. It was a large, circular room with viewports showing space all around. In the center was the main control station, where Commander Do and other officers were working. Frantically, Commander Do looked up as they entered. His mouth fell open at the sight of Ben, now the size of a small shuttle. "Ty, what is that thing?" "It's still Ben, Dad," Ty said as he slid off the dragon's back. "He's just bigger now." Ambassador Nari was there too, speaking urgently into a communication device. She turned when she saw them. "The Draconid ambassador is demanding we hand over the dragon and the necklace immediately. He says they're Draconid property. I belong to no one." Ben's voice boomed, now loud enough that everyone in the room could hear it. Several officers jumped in surprise. "The dragon can talk?" Commander Do asked, stunned. "Not with his mouth," Ty explained. "With his mind." Another blast hit the station, stronger than before. The lights flickered and warning alarms blared. "Shields at 30%, called out an officer. "We can't take much more of this." Ben moved to the center of the hub, his wings spreading wide. The blue glow from his scales filled the room. "I can stop this," he said. "But I need your help, Ty." "What do I do?" Ty asked. "Stand with me. Hold the key up high. Think of stars and paths and truth." Ty moved to stand beside Ben. He took the necklace in his hand and held it up. The pendant glowed brighter than ever, pulsing with blue-white light. "What's happening?" Commander Do asked, moving toward his son. "Trust me, Dad," Ty said. Ben knows what he's doing. Ty closed his eyes and thought of stars, just as Ben had taught him. He pictured paths winding between them, connections linking world to world. He thought of truth and history and memory. The necklace grew hot in his hand, but it didn't burn. Instead, it felt like energy was flowing from it into him, then out again into Ben. Now, Ben's voice said in his mind, "Open your eyes and speak the words." Ty opened his eyes, without knowing how he knew them. Words came to his lips. The last star remembers what the first star promised. The pendant shot a beam of light straight up to the ceiling. Where it hit, the metal seemed to melt away, revealing not the vacuum of space, but a swirling tunnel of stars and light. "What is that?" Ambassador Nari gasped. "A path to the archive," Ben explained. "A way to show everyone the truth." The beam of light expanded, creating a large portal in the ceiling. Through it, Ty could see what looked like endless shelves of glowing crystals stretching into infinity. On the main view screen, the face of a draconid appeared. He had green scales and yellow eyes filled with anger. "Return our property at once," he demanded. "That dragon and the artifact it carries belong to the Draconid Federation." Ben turned to face the screen. "I am not property, Ambassador Cole. I am Ben of the Starwing Dragons, last of my line, and keeper of the path to the archive." The Draconid's eyes widened. "Impossible. The Starwings died out centuries ago." "You tried to make us die out," Ben corrected. "You kept the last of us prisoner, breeding us smaller and weaker with each generation, hoping we would forget our heritage. But the stars remember, even when we forget." "What is he talking about?" Commander Doe asked. Ben looked around at all the humans. "Long ago, dragons and humans were partners. We carried you between stars before you had ships. We shared knowledge and built great things together. But the Draconids grew jealous. They wanted the power of the archive for themselves." As Ben spoke, images began to appear in the air around them, visions of the past, showing massive dragons carrying humans through space, of great cities built by both species, of peaceful cooperation. They started the Great Burning, a war that destroyed many worlds. They rewrote history to make it seem like all dragons were part of their empire. They hunted down my kind until only a few remained. The images changed to show terrible battles, burning planets, dragons in chains. On the screen, Ambassador Cole was shouting orders to someone off-screen. "Fire all weapons. Destroy that station now." "Too late," Ben said calmly. "The truth is already spreading." Ty realized that the portal above them was sending out beams of light in all directions, connecting to ships and stations and planets throughout the sector. The same images they were seeing were being broadcast everywhere. "You're showing everyone the real history," Ty said in wonder. "Yes. The archive doesn't just hold memories, it shares them. No one can hide from truth once it's free." The station shook again, but less violently this time. On secondary screens around the hub, Ty could see some of the Draconid ships moving away, while others seemed to be fighting each other. "What's happening out there?" Commander Doe asked. Ambassador Nari was listening to her communication device. "Some of the Draconid ships are protecting us. Their captains are saying they won't fire on the station. They're calling it a holy place now. The truth affects everyone differently," Ben explained. "Some will fight it. Others will embrace it. But none can ignore it." The necklace in Ty's hand pulsed one more time, then settled into a steady glow. The portal remained open above them, a permanent connection to the stellar archive. Ben lowered his head to look Ty in the eyes. "This is only the beginning. The key has opened the path, but there is much more to discover." "What happens now?" Ty asked. "Now," Ben said, his mental voice filled with hope. "Dragons and humans remember how to be friends again." 3 days after the portal opened, Earth Station Harmony was busier than it had ever been. Ships from all over the galaxy arrived to see the stellar archive. The station, once just a small human outpost, had become the most important place in this part of space. Ty sat in the new archive chamber that had been created around the portal. Ben lay beside him, now the size of a small shuttle. His scales shimmered with deep blue light, and patterns like star maps moved across his wings. "I still can't believe all this happened because of one necklace," Ty said, touching the pendant that still hung around his neck. It no longer glowed as brightly, but it remained warm against his skin. not just the necklace. Ben reminded him. It needed the right person to awaken it. People entered the chamber in small groups, guided by Dr. Han and other scientists who had been studying the archive. They would look up at the portal with wonder, then bow respectfully to Ben and Tai before approaching the viewing platforms. Commander Do walked over to where Tai sat. He looked tired but proud. The Earth Council just finished their meeting, he told Tai. They've officially named you and Ben as keepers of the archive. What does that mean? Tai asked. It means this is your job now, his father said with a small smile. Helping people access the archive safely and making sure its knowledge is used wisely. Tai looked up at the swirling portal. Through it, he could see endless shelves of glowing crystals, each containing memories and knowledge from throughout history. That's a big job for a 12-year-old, he said. You won't do it alone, Ben assured him. And you won't be 12 forever. A commotion at the entrance caught their attention. Ambassador Nari was leading a group of Draconids into the chamber. Unlike Ambassador Cole, who had been called back to the Draconid homeworld in disgrace, these Draconids wore simple robes instead of military uniforms. These are the Draconid scholars, Ambassador Nari explained as they approached. They've come to study the archive. The lead scholar, a female Draconid with silver-edged scales, bowed deeply to Ben. Great Starwing, we are honored to be in your presence. Our people have much to atone for. Ben dipped his head in acknowledgement. Knowledge is the beginning of wisdom. The archive welcomes all who seek truth. Is it true that there are more Starwings? Tai asked the scholar. This was a rumor that had been spreading through the station. The Draconid nodded. Since the archive opened, many things hidden have come to light. On remote worlds, small groups of Starwings have revealed themselves. They felt the call when the path opened. This was exciting news to Tai. So Ben isn't the last one after all. Not the last, but still rare, Ben said. And none have kept the old knowledge as purely as my line did. The Draconid scholars moved to one of the viewing platforms. They placed their hands on the crystal panels there, and beams of light connected them to the archive. Their eyes closed as they received information directly into their minds. What are they learning? Tai asked. Their true history, Ben explained. For generations, their leaders hid the truth about how the Draconid Empire began. Many Draconids never knew they were conquerors rather than the original dragon kind. Tai understood why this would be shocking. It would be like learning that everything he knew about human history was a lie. Will they be angry when they learn the truth? Some will be. Others will feel shame. But knowledge, even painful knowledge, is better than ignorance. As they watched, one of the scholars pulled away from the viewing platform, tears streaming down her scaled face. She approached Ben again and knelt before him. My family line was responsible for the capture of the last free Starwing colony, she said, her voice shaking. I have seen what my ancestors did. How can such wrongs ever be made right? Ben extended one wing to gently touch her shoulder. By helping build a better future. The past cannot be changed, but it need not determine what comes next. The scholar nodded gratefully and rejoined her group. Later that day, Tai and Ben had a rare moment alone in the archive chamber. Most visitors had left for the evening, and only a few guards remained at the entrances. Ben, Tai said quietly, there's something I don't understand. Why did the Draconids give you to us in the first place? If you were so valuable, why give you away? Ben settled more comfortably on the floor, his tail curling around Tai. They thought I was broken. For generations, they had been breeding my line to be smaller, weaker, less connected to the old magic. They wanted us as pets, not equals. But the necklace still worked. Yes, the key cannot be changed or destroyed. It waited for the right bearer, someone with an open heart and mind. Someone who would see me as a friend, not a possession. Tai thought about this. So when they gave you to us, they made their greatest mistake. Ben finished. They thought humans were weak and unimportant. They never imagined a human boy could awaken what they had tried so hard to keep dormant. The portal above them pulsed with light, sending a shower of sparkling energy down around them. Tai had learned this happened whenever a particularly important memory was being accessed somewhere in the galaxy. What was that? He asked. Someone just discovered the memory of the first promise, Ben said, looking pleased. The agreement made between the first dragons and the first space-traveling humans. What did they promise each other? To explore the stars together, to share knowledge freely, to protect each other from the dangers of the void. Tai smiled. That sounds like a good promise. It was. And now it can be renewed. A soft chime sounded, indicating that a new ship was approaching the station. Tai checked the small screen on his wrist that his father had given him to monitor archive visitors. It's a ship from Earth, he said with surprise. The first one since the portal opened. Your people are coming to see what their boy has discovered, Ben said with amusement in his mental voice. They'll probably want to take the archive away from us. Tai worried. Put it somewhere more important than a small station. They cannot take it anywhere. Ben assured him. The archive is not a thing to be moved. It exists between spaces, and this portal is now fixed to this place. Earth Station Harmony will forever be its doorway. This made Tai feel better. He had grown to love his role as archive keeper, even if it meant less time for normal kid things like games and school. The door to the chamber opened, and Dr. Han entered with excitement on her face. Tai. Ben, something amazing is happening, she called as she hurried over to them. The archive is creating new crystals. New crystals? Tai asked. I thought it only held old memories. That's what we thought too. But look. She held up her tablet, showing a video feed from inside the portal. New shelves were forming, and on them, crystals were growing like flowers opening to the sun. The archive lives, Ben explained. It records all important events. What has happened here, the reconnection of dragons and humans, the revealing of truth. These are memories worth preserving. Dr. Han looked at the readings on her tablet. According to this, the new crystals contain memories being formed right now. Our memories. The archive is recording us as we speak. Tai felt a shiver run down his spine. Their story was becoming part of the great history of the galaxy. History is not just the past. Ben said, sensing Tai's thoughts. It is also the present becoming the past, moment by moment. We are making history now. The portal pulsed again, brighter this time. The necklace around Tai's neck responded, warming against his skin. What happens next? Tai asked, looking up at the swirling stars above them. Next, Ben said, rising to his feet and stretching his massive wings. We teach the galaxy how to remember and how to dream of what might be. 1 month after the Stellar Archive opened, Earth Station Harmony had changed completely. What was once a small human outpost was now the center of a new galactic community. The station had grown, with new sections built to house visitors from hundreds of worlds. Tai stood on the observation deck, looking out at the ships that surrounded the station. Some were huge draconid vessels with their distinctive pointed shapes. Others were the sleek silver ships of the Earth fleet. And now, there were new ships, 2 living ships that looked like dragons themselves, carrying the newly revealed Starwing dragons who had come from hiding places across the galaxy. Thinking big thoughts, asked his father, joining him at the VIEWPORT. Tai smiled, just wondering how different things would be if the Draconids had kept Ben. Instead of giving him to us. Commander Do shook his head. I still can't believe they thought he was worthless. The most important dragon in the galaxy, and they handed him over like he was trash. They couldn't see what he really was, Tai said, touching the necklace that still hung around his neck. They only saw what they wanted to see. A soft mental touch brushed against Tai's mind. Are you ready? Ben asked. They're waiting for us. We're coming, Tai replied silently. He had gotten better at mental communication over the past weeks. Now he could speak to Ben without saying words out loud. Is it time for the ceremony? Commander Do asked, noticing Tai's distant look. Tai nodded. Ben says everyone is ready. They walked together to the archive chamber, which had been expanded to 10 times its original size. The portal still hung in the center of the ceiling, but now it was surrounded by a ring of crystal platforms, where people could connect directly to the archive's knowledge. The chamber was filled with representatives from dozens of worlds. Humans stood next to Draconids. Tall, thin beings from the Andromeda galaxy mingled with the rock-like people of Kepler, and moving among them all were dragons of various kinds, not just the blue starwings like Ben, but red fire dragons, green forest dragons, and silver sky dragons. Ben waited for Tai at the center of the room. He had grown even larger over the past month, and now had to curl his massive body around the central platform to fit in the chamber. His scales shimmered with deep blue light, and the star patterns on his wings seemed to move and change constantly. As Tai approached, the room grew quiet. All eyes turned to the boy and his dragon. "I still don't like speaking to crowds," Tai whispered to Ben. "You don't need to speak much," Ben assured him. "Just say the words of the ceremony, and I will do the rest." Tai took a deep breath and stepped onto the platform beside Ben. He looked out at the gathered beings, so many different species, all here because of what had happened when a boy and an unwanted dragon found each other. 1 month ago, Tai began, his voice carried by the chamber's special design so everyone could hear. The stellar archive was opened for the first time in 1,000 years. Since then, we have all learned many things, some wonderful, some difficult to accept. He paused, looking at the Draconid delegation. Their leader, a female named Sora who had replaced Ambassador Cole, bowed her head respectfully. "Today," Tai continued, "we take the next step. The archive has shown us our past. Now it will help us build our future." He raised the necklace, which began to glow brightly. Above them, the portal pulsed in response. "The last star remembers what the first star promised," Tai said, repeating the words that had started everything. Ben raised his head, his voice filling the minds of everyone present. "And now all stars will remember together." The portal expanded, growing until it covered the entire ceiling. The swirling lights within it brightened, and beams of light shot down to touch each person and dragon in the room. Tai felt knowledge flowing into his mind, not just memories of the past, but visions of what could be. He saw humans and dragons traveling together between stars again. He saw new cities being built on empty worlds. He saw peace spreading across the galaxy as ancient enemies learned to understand each other. When the light faded, there was silence in the room. Then, one by one, people began to talk excitedly, sharing what they had seen. "Is that what will happen?" Tai asked Ben privately. "Or just what could happen?" "The future is never certain," Ben replied. "But the archive shows possibilities. What we saw were the paths that could be walked if we choose wisely." Sora, the Draconid leader, approached the platform. Unlike most Draconids, who had green or red scales, hers were an unusual purple color. She bowed deeply to Tai and Ben. "Keeper of the key," she said formally to Tai. "The Draconid Federation wishes to make amends for our past actions. We offer this." She held out a small crystal box. Inside was another necklace, similar to Tai's, but with a different pattern on the pendant. "This is the second key," she explained. "Our ancestors stole it during the Great Burning. We return it now to its rightful guardians." Ben's surprise flowed through their mental link. "The second key. We thought it was destroyed." Tai accepted the box carefully. "What does this key do?" Sora shook her head. "We don't know. Our leaders kept it locked away for centuries. They feared its power but could not destroy it." Ben lowered his head to examine the second necklace. "This is the key of creation. While your key opens paths to knowledge, this one opens paths to new worlds." A murmur ran through the crowd as Ben's words reached everyone's minds. "New worlds?" Commander Doe asked, stepping forward. "What does that mean?" "It means the ability to find and shape planets that can support life," Ben explained. "In ancient times, dragons and humans used both keys together, one to find the knowledge of how worlds form, the other to put that knowledge into practice." Tai looked at the second necklace with wonder. "So with both keys, we can create homes for people who need them." "Yes, many species in our galaxy live on dying worlds, or have lost their homes to war or natural disaster. With the keys of knowledge and creation, we can help them build a new Sora boat again. The Draconid Federation offers our ships and resources to this effort as part of our atonement." Other leaders stepped forward, making similar offers. The human ambassador pledged Earth's scientific knowledge. The Andromeda beings offered their skill in terraforming. The Kepler rock people promised to teach their methods of sustainable living. As the pledges continued, Tai felt overwhelmed. Just a month ago, he had been an ordinary boy on a small space station. Now he stood at the center of a galactic alliance, holding keys that could change everything. "It is a lot to take in," Ben acknowledged, sensing his thoughts. "But remember, you are not alone." Tai looked up at his dragon friend, the unwanted gift that had changed his life and the galaxy. I'm glad they gave you to us, he said softly, and I am glad you saw value in what others thought worthless, Ben replied. That is the true lesson of the archive, that worth is not always visible on the surface. Sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden until someone cares enough to look deeper. The ceremony concluded with a new promise, not just between humans and dragons this time, but among all the gathered species. They would use the knowledge of the archive and the power of the keys to help, not harm, to build, not destroy, to remember the past while creating a better future. As the representatives filed out of the chamber, many stopped to thank Ty. Some touched the necklace reverently. Others simply bowed in respect. When everyone had gone except for Ty, Ben, and Commander Do, Ty finally asked the question that had been on his mind. Ben, why me? Out of all the humans in the galaxy, why did the key choose me? Ben curled his tail around Ty protectively. The inscription on the key doesn't just mean stars, you know. In the old dragon language, the same word means star and child. The last child remembers what the first child promised. I don't understand, Ty said. You were kind to someone everyone else rejected. You saw value where others saw none. That is the first and most important promise, to see with the heart, not just the eyes. Ty looked at the two keys, one hanging around his neck, the other still in its crystal box. Together, they held the power to reshape the galaxy. But that power had only been unlocked because a boy had been kind to an unwanted dragon. So the most important knowledge in the archive, Ty began, is that kindness opens doors that force cannot break. Ben finished. That is the promise the first star made and the last star remembered. And now, all stars will keep that promise together. Outside the viewport, the ships of 100 worlds glittered like stars against the darkness of space. And among them, dragons flew freely for the first time in 1,000 years, their wings carrying them between worlds as they had in ancient days. The unwanted dragon had found his place, and the boy with the necklace had found his purpose. Together, they would help the galaxy remember how to dream again.